welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. Now today we are going to be doing something a little bit different. Since I've gotten my lavalier mic, I thought that it would be kind of fun to do a little bit of ASMR, although really I'll just be reading from a book, so I don't know if that actually counts as ASMR, but I thought that it would be a fun and different video for me to try. Now, if you think that I sound a little bit funny today, it is because I'm still a little bit sick from being with my sister's cats the other day. It's somewhat of an allergy hangover. Hopefully I will be back to normal tomorrow, but for today I'm going to sound a little sniffly and congested. So if you think that I sound horrible, please don't let me know because I probably will cry. Now, today I'm going to be reading Is This Anything by Jerry Seinfeld. I have been a fan of his for quite a few years, and somebody sent me this book and said that it was very good and that I should give it a read. So I thought that we would read a couple of stories from it today, and you guys can just sit back and listen, and I hope that this is calming for you and that you enjoy this. If you do enjoy this video, leave a comment down below and I will do more videos like this. We can finish this book and then we can start others. So if you have any books that you would like to hear me read, be sure to leave those in a comment down below as well. Now let's get started. So we are going to be starting in the 70s, it says. I'm going to take off the book cover so that way you don't hear that static. Alright. Is this anything? Is what every comedian says to every other comedian about any new bit. Ideas that come from nowhere and mean nothing. But in the world of stand-up comedy, literal bars of gold. You see that some comedian later... Oh, no, I'm sorry. Okay, I can't read, I guess. You see that same comedian later and you will be asked, did it get anything? All comedians are slightly amazed when anything works. Picture me in the mid-1960s, living room floor, legs crossed, bowl of cereal. 1 foot from our 25-inch zenith, measured diagonally, jeans, horizontal striped t-shirt. White low-top U.S. kids staring at a comedian in a dark suit and tie on the Ed Sullivan Show. I could say something funny. Sorry, I can't see because like I was looking at my ring light earlier and now it's like burned into my eyes. Okay. I could say something funny once in a while, but everything out of this guy's mouth is hilarious. How are they able to talk like that? I was so mystified and fascinated by them, but I never ever imagined I could be one of them. They were like astronauts or Olympic athletes to me, some different other breed of humans, not even really part of this world. I grew up on Long Island and remember sometime in the early 70s hearing my friend Chris Misano's older brother Vince say that there was a place in New York City where young people were getting on stage and doing a new kind of stand-up comedy. That there was a guy who would tell a story while playing a conga drum and then he started crying and playing the drum in rhythm to the crying. That sounded so crazy and hilarious to us. We thought, we have to see this guy. So we started going into the city, which was incredibly fun and exciting anyway, to see these new comedians at the Improv and catch a rising star. That comedian, of course, was Andy Kaufman. And there were lots of other amazing comedians there too, like Ed Bluestone, Elaine Booster, Richard Lewis, Bob Shaw, and Bobby Kelton. We even saw big stars performing at these places, like Rodney Dangerfield and David Brenner. Hearing live laughs burst out of these crowds in these packed little rooms was almost a scary sound. How did the comedians know that what they said would get such laughs from a crowd of total strangers? I could not figure it out. Then, in 1974, 2 things happened that tripped my head out of whatever thick suburban haze I was in and off into a whole different realm of life. I read a book called The Last Laugh and saw a movie called Lenny. The Last Laugh by Phil Berger was the first book completely about the world of stand-up comedy. Lenny was a Dustin Hoffman movie about the life of Lenny Bruce. The poster for Lenny showed him in a smoky nightclub hunched over a microphone. There's a scene in the movie where Lenny Bruce is having dinner late at night in a cafeteria after a show that did not go well. Tie undone, still in his suit, he pushes his tray along and meets a stripper, Hot Honey Harlow. I think that was the scene that did it. The absolute lack of glamour and or normalcy drove me wild. What a complete offbeat, nonsensical existence. Comedians seem to hurtle through space and time, untethered to anything but the sound of a laugh. I thought, oh my God, I want to do that. But what if I can't? What if I'm not funny? I remember thinking, well, but I wouldn't have to be that funny anyways. I would just have to be funny enough to buy a loaf of Wonder Bread and a jar of Skippy peanut butter a week. I could easily survive on that. It was all I ate in my parents' house anyways, and even if that's all I had, it would be a better life than any other I could envision. I was more than happy to accept being a not that funny comedian over any other conceivable option. Without realizing it, of course, this attitude is the exact right way to start out in the world of comedy. Expect nothing, accept anything. I had only ever tried to make my friends laugh. That wasn't that easy. How in the world do you make people that you don't even know laugh? In the last laugh, I read about a joke Jimmy Walker did at Catch a Rising Star one night. How great is it? How great is that name for a nightclub of new comedians, by the way? Still the best name I've ever heard, and still the coolest club I ever walked into. I love that it's the very first place I ever stepped on a stage to try and do comedy. Anyway, Jimmy Walker's joke was that it was raining so hard in New York that the night he just saw Superman getting into a cab. I thought that joke was so simple but so funny. How did you think of something like that? It just seemed like a miracle to me. I still don't know exactly for sure where jokes come from. I think it's from some emotional cocktail of boredom, aggression, intense visual acuity, and a kind of silly putty of the mind that enables you to reform what you see into what you want it to be. I was a very, very nervous performer when I first began going on stage, but I was encouraged by my Queens College friends Jesse Michnick, Joe Bassino, and Mike Costanza. I'm still grateful to those guys. I was not a naturally outgoing person or really even attention-seeking in my normal personality. My favorite thing was to whisper something funny in class to the kid next to me and crack him up so he got in trouble. I tried being in a couple plays in high school and college, but unless the part was all comedy, I couldn't stay interested in the scenes. I was also reprimanded several times for trying to make a part funny that wasn't supposed to be. Loved doing that. Even in the early years of Seinfeld, I had difficulty focusing on the story aspects of the show. I would only perk up when Larry and I got to writing the dialogue and we needed funny lines for the characters to say. I got better at story structure as the years went on, but still found that kind of work a bit dreary. But at 20 years old, when I walked into the Manhattan comedy clubs for the first time, every neuron in my little brain just lit up. I felt like I had finally found my home on planet Earth. And it wasn't just that I could now immerse myself in the art of comedy. It was also the world of comedians I was suddenly in. I have many great friends who are actors, writers, and artists of various kinds. But when I'm in the company of other stand-up comedians, I feel like I'm rolling around in a litter of puppies. To this day, I feel that same excitement when I walk into a comedy club. And I have to say, part of it is also this feeling that wherever comedians are working, it is a place of battle. I'm totally in love with the very clear winning and losing outcome that a stand-up set can have. I apologize that my reading skills are not that great. I haven't read out loud since high school, probably. In some ways, it's more sports than theater, really. This might work tonight, and it might not. The real problem with stand-up, of course, is that you must constantly justify why you are the only one talking while a room full of people sit quietly. And in the beginning, just to put yourself into what is, let's face it, that fairly untenable position, you have to love it badly, madly, maybe even sadly. Getting live laughs is a druggy kind of lifestyle. Adrenaline, dopamine, oxytocin. The drugstore of the brain does not ask if you have a prescription. It's like those yogurt places where they let you pull the handle yourself. Oxytocin, I can't say that word when I see it, but I can when I don't see it, is sometimes known as the love drug because the brain releases it when it receives positive social and or stimulation. And let me tell you, when you're on a stage all by yourself under a hot light with a hot mic, and those laughs are crashing down around you. It's a strong, pure hit of every addiction you've ever wanted. When I was young, I was obsessed with race car driving, big wave surfing, skydiving, and really fast motorcycles. 1 year into doing stand-up comedy, I lost interest in all of it. I learned very quickly that stand-up comedy survival has a lot to do with how much and how good your material is. I never met a stand-up who wasn't funny at all, but for the most part, it was the people who killed themselves to keep coming up with great new material and who were able to keep rising through the many levels. And whenever I came up with a funny bit, whether it happened on a stage, in a conversation, or working it out on my preferred canvas, the big yellow legal pad, I kept it in one of those old school accordion folders. So I have everything I thought was worth saving from 45 years of hacking away at this for all I was worth. And I know for sure it was because I loved doing it so much that I was able to spend endless amounts of time on some of the silliest ideas you can imagine. And they're all here. Looking back, I like that I was successful. I'm happy I made money at it, but honestly, I swear I have really been in it for the laughs since day 1, day 2, and every other day, including today. I still go out to the clubs every week, still love working on the bits and appreciate every set I get to do. And I still get excited meeting and talking to other stand-up comedians that live for this peculiar, precarious existence. It was my agent, Christian Carino, that convinced me people would like to see all this stuff and that we should put it out as a book. A lot of people I've talked to seem surprised that I've kept all of these notes. I don't understand why they think that. I don't understand why I've kept anything else. What could possibly be of more value? In the 60s and 70s, they would say on TV about certain comedians, and he writes all his own stuff, because that was the new thing. Comedians like Bob Hope and Jack Benny would actually joke about their writers as part of their act. Stand-up comedy in the 60s made the same turn that music did with singer-songwriters becoming the way it was done. I've never done anything else. There is something exciting, I think, about being in the same room with this person who originally thought all the ideas you're hearing. One of my favorite stories about stand-up comics is from my friend Barry Martyr. Barry is a writer, comedian, and creator of the Ted L. Nancy character. In the 80s, Barry was making a living selling jokes to comedians at the Comedy Store in LA. The going rate was $75 a joke. When Barry's father, a home improvement salesman, heard this, he couldn't believe it. Why would they pay that much for a joke? He asked. Barry told him, because the guys that need them really need them, and we do. I can personally guarantee you that every comedian you've ever seen feels inside that they don't have as much good material as they really wish they had. The biggest comedians you can name still go on stage with a little worry in the back of their head that whatever they have might not be good enough tonight. We always want more. I deeply love the endless, somewhat torturous struggle of never quite feeling that you've got your act where you want it, because I don't ever want it to end. And when a new bit breaks through and gets a real laugh, that's when you feel like you're at the beginning of the journey all over again. You feel like you're just starting out, and maybe you do have what it takes. I love hearing a laugh that's never existed in the world before, because every laugh is silently different, unique, even. So these pages are the map of the 45-year-long road I've been on to become this odd, unusual thing that is the only thing I ever really wanted to be. And I wish I could recommend it to you as an experience you should have. But it's like recommending that someone become an iguana. If you don't have those crazy eyes, leathery skin, and the long tongue, it's tough to get there. But I hope you enjoy taking the ride that has been my life with me through these pages. I'm a little frustrated that if you do laugh at something in here, I won't get to hear it. And that's why I'll probably be out at a club in front of an audience somewhere tonight, because the guys that really need them, really need them. Alright, so that is the beginning of the book. Next we jump into the jokes, but that is going to be a video for another day. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and be sure to leave a comment down below if you like this and want to hear more of me reading this book to you. I would love to do it. That's where I will leave you today. I hope that you have a fantastic day, and so until next time, you guys, stay groovy.